Paldea features some of the darkest Pokemon in the whole Pokeverse, expanding the universe with some of the darkest story arcs never before witnessed in a Pokemon game. The 10th gen has recently been announced to the world. It's called Pokemon Winds and Waves, and it features a huge map loosely based on Southeast Asia, with rumored features such as underwater exploration, weather manipulation, and an extensive island chain region. It's surely bringing Pokemon fans back for more. But before we get into that, let's discuss some of the darkest Pokemon facts in the mysterious land of Paldea. Let's start with this crazy mechanic that redefined the levels of creativity Game Freak came up with over a span of 30 years. That's right, we're talking about terastallization. In the early games, each Pokemon had a fixed elemental type, and fans took pride in remembering Pokemon and their countless stats. However, this changed with Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. In Paldea, there is a region called Area Zero, a massive crater that emits a weird energy. And if you look deep inside, you'll find these crystals embedded in the walls, floor, and even inside the research facility. There is a deeper conspiracy going on here. This is Terastal energy, and if you think that these crystals are causing this energy leakage, think again. Game Freak had to release a full DLC pack, Indigo Disc, to reveal the mystery of Terastal energy. When you see the Pokédex entry of the legendary Pokemon Terapagos, you realize that Terapagos can transform energy into Terastal crystals. Its body is covered with crystals similar to those found in Area Zero. This led renowned scientists, including Professor Sada and Turo, to discover Terra Orbs, a game-changer mechanic where you can release the Terastal energy into your Pokemon during battle. Imagine creating a genre-defining mechanic from a single Pokemon. This shows you the unlimited possibilities in the world of Pokemon. Speaking of Pokemon that made a shocking impact on the universe's lore, Paldea introduced some of the darkest Pokédex entries of the Pokédex universe, and Greavard leads the charge here. At first glance, Greavard is just a cute fuzzy puppy with a candle hat like in Rocket League. But this is one spooky ghost Pokemon, trust me. Its Pokédex entry reads, "It said that a dog Pokemon that died in the wild without ever interacting with a human was reborn as this Pokemon." It's both kind of sad and tragic when you couple it with the Violet Pokédex entry, which says, "This friendly Pokemon doesn't like being alone. Pay it even the slightest bit of attention and it will follow you forever." It was born out of loneliness, and all he wanted was a buddy to play with. But here's the spooky part. The flame on its head isn't just for show. It absorbs life energy from nearby living creatures, making it dangerous to its friends and even trainers, and Greavard isn't even aware of that. However, when Greavard has found friends to be around and play with at level 30, it will evolve into Houndstone. Its Pokédex entry completes the cycle of loneliness for Greavard. Among all the dog Pokemon, this one is most loyal to its master. This means that Greavard finally found a loyal group of friends and spent enough time with them to evolve into a being that was cherished, loved, and mourned. Enjoying the video? Do leave a like and subscribe to the channel. This Ogrepone will do her happy little dance if you do. When you travel the vast world of Pokemon, you won't find weirder Pokédex entries than this next duo. A soul unable to move on to the afterlife was blown away by the wind until it became tangled up with dried grass and transformed into a Pokemon. That's literally how Bramblin came to life. It's not clear whether the trapped soul is a human or a Pokemon, and frankly, in a world where ghost Pokemon exist, it could very easily be a human soul. Its appearance is unsettling. Soft, thorny branches curled into a sphere with just 2 floating eyes. That's it. Nothing inside, just leafless, dead branches wandering mindlessly. But what's even more terrifying is its evolution into Brambleghast, a stone-cold predator of the wilderness. While Bramblin just rolls aimlessly across the vast Aceto Desert, Brambleghast is devastating to all life forms it encounters. The Pokédex entry hits that sweet spot. Believe me, it will open the branches of its head to envelop its prey. Once it absorbs all the life energy it needs, it expels the prey and discards it. This entry alone tells you what Game Freak is cooking with Gen X. It engulfs the victim, digests their life essence like nutrients, and spews out the remains. I'm not sure whether the victim survives this carnage or not, but the lore itself is enough to creep out an innocent Pokédex explorer. Paldea wasn't the first Pokemon game affected by time travel. That would be Gold and Silver with the time capsule mechanic in Ecruteak City. But Scarlet and Violet have much darker implications of time travel. Again, it all leads back to Area Zero. Turns out, Terra Orb isn't the only invention powered by Terastal energy. Deep inside Area Zero's crystal-infested core, there is a time machine. It's powered by the Terra Crystal's energy and created by Sada and Scarlet and Turo and Violet. Normally, you would expect some interdimensional barriers to pop open with the time machine. Well, you would be both right and wrong. In Scarlet, Sada's time machine takes a trip down memory lane and brings out prehistoric versions of Paldea's Pokémon like Fluttermane, Roaring Moon, and the infamous Great Tusk. This enormous elephant-like monster was sighted by people while it roamed in Paldea. Violet's Turo took a completely different route. He decided to take a sneak peek into the future, where a metal-coated version of itself replaces every variant. We witnessed some of the strangest versions: the robotic Hariyama, Miraidon, which is just a metallic Cyclizar with a much cooler name. Then there were the amalgams of Pokemon like Iron Valiant, which combined the physical features of both Gallade and Gardevoir. I mean, it's the future. Of course, Pokemon engineering should be a thing there. These are called Paradox Pokemon. Game Freak did something insane with this name. Each of these Pokemon carried with them huge questions and lore gaps. Like, how did Heath, the legendary explorer, discover these Paradox Pokemon when Sada or Turo hadn't developed the time machine yet? How did the accultured libraries in the Academy describe these Pokemon so accurately and yet treat them as myths? The game literally takes all these questions and shoves the word paradox in your face. Then there is the timeline problem. Scarlet features the legendary walking wake that looks like an ancient Suicune. But here's the thing. We know Suicune was created by Ho-Oh's Miracle back in the Burn Tower. So how does an even older version of something that didn't exist before exist? That's why it's a paradox. We don't know. Paldea is filled with dark tales of failed glory and vengeance. The game shows almost Souls-like Pokédex entries for some of its Pokémon. We just can't ignore the tale of Charcadet and its evolution into Ceruledge. Charcadet is a fire child Pokemon with a supernatural origin according to its Pokédex entry. Burnt Charcoal came to life and became a Pokemon. It's a fiery fighter who isn't afraid of enemies twice its size. But the dark part is Charcadet's evolution. In lore, this evolution can result in two completely different Pokemon. In Scarlet, Charcadet evolves only with auspicious armor, made with auspicious wishes. This is essentially the sugar, spice, and everything nice part of evolution. The result is Armor Rogue, a fire psychic Pokemon closely resembling the cute Charcadet. As you might expect, Armor Rogue is an honorable warrior. It evolved through the use of a set of armor that belonged to a distinguished warrior. It isn't clear whether that warrior's soul is still inside this Pokemon, but the armor infuses enough emotions in this Pokemon to make us think. According to the Scarlet Pokédex, this armor is the source of its psychic power. It has enough firepower to blast away a dump truck. Things take a darker turn in Violet. The only armor you can find for your cute Charcadet is the malicious armor. It is oddly soaked in grudges. Now, here is a Pokemon that has seen its fair share of evils, hatred, and vengeance. Its ghostly blades burn with the lingering resentment of a sword wielder who fell before accomplishing their goal. Unlike its Scarlet version, Ceruledge is a dark shinobi with an intense purple finish and two glowing eyes from within its helmet. It's a fire ghost type Pokemon, since there could still be remnants of fallen souls inside it. One thing's for sure, for a game that has amassed such a young fanbase, this isn't exactly the friendly Pokemon we were expecting. Speaking of unexpected things, this next fact completely changed the way we see Pokemon games. Dark, depressing narratives have silently invaded the calm, fun gameplay. We know the game starts with Arvin's quest for Herba Mystica so that he can heal his Mobostiff, but we know his real adventure was the search for his parents. He was the son of Sada and Scarlet and Turo and Violet. His grudge against them was that they had chosen science over family. Since the player keeps getting contacted by the professor throughout the story, Arvin becomes our companion in hopes that we might lead him to his parents. He was right, of course, but not exactly. Let me explain. When we reach Area Zero and enter the Zero Lab, the dark truth unfolds. The real Professor Sada and Turo never survived their research. In their quest to meddle with timelines they didn't quite understand, they accidentally brought out a much stronger ancient or futuristic version of Koraidon or Miraidon. The person who was talking to you in the entire game was just an AI-generated hologram with the professor's thoughts, memories, and intelligence all programmed into a modern AI. The reveal shocked all of us, but Arvin is the one with the biggest heartbreak. Throughout the story, he was searching for answers only his real parents could provide. And the irony doesn't end there. As you destroy the Paradise Protection Protocol, the AI realizes that if it stays in Paldea, there's always a risk it will restart the Paradox Pokémon research. Even though the blind obsession of Sato or Turo drives their AI versions, they decide to leave with the time machine, either to the past or the future, a melodramatic end to a dark tale of grief. There were some weirdly awesome Pokemon in Scarlet and Violet, and fans couldn't help but wonder if they shared similar origins. Poltergeist was introduced in the Teal Mask DLC. It's literally the regrets of a tea ceremony master who died before perfecting his craft. These regrets lingered into the matcha, and Poltergeist was born. It's essentially an imperfect matcha tea inside a traditional Japanese tea caddy, a perfect blend for a grass ghost-type Pokemon. Now, there is another beverage-inspired Pokemon that's surprisingly similar to Poltergeist. The similarity was so uncanny that Violet Pokédex had to clarify that the two Pokemon are entirely unrelated. Dynasty isn't a Paldea native. It debuted in the 8th generation Galar. Now, judging by this Pokemon's appearance, you might imagine that the cup is the Pokemon, but Dynasty was born when a lonely spirit possessed a cold, leftover cup of tea. That means the tea is the actual body of the Pokemon. The cup is just the vessel it chooses to live in.